Happy Feature Friday, all my quilting friends. It's so great to have y'all back here in my quilting studio with me. Today we are going to go over another one of our editing features and see all the different options on how to use this. Today's feature is going to be our rotate button, and like I said last week with our move feature, this may be something that you've been using and you've been very successful with. I just want to show you that there are lots of options on using this feature, and you may get some ideas on how to use the feature differently, or if you're new with us and your robotic system, you might get ideas just how to use the feature in general, and you might have some fun with it and try different things. You need to use the feature how it works best for you, how you've been successful, and remember there's no right way or wrong way. It's just the way that works best for you. Stay comfortable with what you're doing so that you're happy and successful every time you quilt. I'm going to turn you guys around so you can see my robotic system and we can get started. All right, everybody. So when we are looking at my display here, you can see that I have a little bee pattern hanging out inside a pattern layout box as indicated here with my orange dotted line. I am in my editing feature that's highlighted here on the left-hand side of my display. And because my edit feature is highlighted over here on the left, I have all of my wonderful editing features over here on the right. Our rotate feature is on the inside ribbon, and it is the third icon down. So it looks like a little square on point with little arrows that are kind of swishing on the corners. And when we highlight our rotate feature to use it, the icon turns orange and the background turns white. And then we get all of these little buttons across the bottom of our display for us to use. So we're going to take a look at those buttons and how they work. I want to point out that this center button here is actually giving us the degree reading of our design. So right now our design is sitting at 0 degrees. So our little design is upright right now. The first feature we're going to work with are the little 45s at the ends that have little degree angles at the bottom of the button. Can you see those? So I've got one on the right and one on the left. These are going to allow us to rotate our design in 45-degree increments every time we press the button. The one on the left is going to rotate our design 45 degrees to the left or counterclockwise every time we press it. The one on the right is going to rotate our design 45 degrees to the right or clockwise every time we press it. Let's look at how that works. I've got my bee there in the center, and I'm going to press the button on the left. When I press it one time, it rotates to the left 45 degrees, and you can see my angle has changed here in the center to 315. If I rotate it again, it goes to 270. And I can continue to press that left-hand rotate or counterclockwise rotate, and my little bee is going to continue his journey around that circle until we end up back at 0. I can use the right-hand rotate over here on the right-hand side of our display down at the bottom. And I can rotate my bee in the right-hand or clockwise direction, 45 degrees at a time, just pressing that button. There we go at 45 degrees, and you can also see the number changing there. And I can continue to rotate that bee. So that is a quick and easy way to rotate your design fairly quickly. And sometimes we really need to rotate our designs because we may have a quilt top with our blocks on point, or we may have loaded our quilt from sides instead of from top to bottom, and we need to just switch the direction of our patterns. So the next way we can rotate and do a little bit of fine tuning is by using our minus button here and our plus button here. And when we use those, we can fine tune our design rotation in 1 degree increments. So if we press our minus button, we're going to rotate our design 1 degree to the left or counterclockwise at a time. If we use the plus, we'll be rotating our design in 1 degree increments to the right or clockwise. You can watch the number change here in the center as I do that. So if I hit my minus button one time, I've now gone to 359 degrees. If I continue to touch the button every time I touch it, it goes down by 1 degree and I'm rotating to the left 1 degree at a time. This is a great way to fine-tune something and get it to fit exactly in your quilt top block the way you want it. If I use the plus sign, I will do the same thing but in the opposite direction. I will be moving my bee 1 degree at a time to the right or clockwise and get it to rotate around that way. This is very helpful when you want to do a little bit of precise positioning with your design and you really want to get it in a specific angle. It's very helpful to use this. The other option you have for getting your design placed on an angle that you want would be to use this center button here. So if we touch on it where the degrees have been showing, it's actually going to open up a keyboard for us. And it's going to give you the exact degree angle that you want. So right now, I'm at 10 degrees. But if I want it to go back to straight up and down at our 0 degrees, I can hit 0 and it's going to recenter it at 0 degrees and that's straight up and down. If I want it to go to a 35 degree angle, I can type in 35 and hit my check mark and it's now rotated on a 35 degree angle. If I want to open up this little keyboard and say I know that I need to rotate this on a 65 degree angle, I can type that in and hit my check mark. So if you know the degree you need to rotate a design because of a specific quilt top pattern you're using, you can actually type that in here and it will rotate very quickly without having to do any fine tuning. Now there's one more option for us, and that is to use our touchscreen itself. So when we touch on our design, we get our highlighted box with all of our little nodes that we have. And last week we used the green node in the center to move our design around our quilt area that we had laid out. This week with rotate, we use our little red node that's out here on the outside corner. If we take our finger and put it on the red node, we can then swing our design around to whatever angle we want, and we can go counterclockwise and clockwise in whatever direction we want to get our design where we'd like it. And this is a great way to use a combination of features here in our options. So we could maybe get our little bee set here, and then if we need to fine tune it, we could do 1 degree at a time to get it exactly where we want it. So you can use your red node to rotate counterclockwise and clockwise by just touching on that little red node and swinging your design around the screen. So you've got multiple options to rotate your designs within your pattern layout area to get your design lined up exactly where you need it to be for your quilt top blocks. I find this feature very helpful because there's such beautiful quilt patterns out there, and a lot of the times your patterns aren't straight up and down. Those blocks are on point and fun little angles. We've got beautiful shapes in our quilts nowadays. Quilting is so much fun, and we really want to be able to get our quilt designs laid out in those pattern blocks to really make a beautiful overall picture. Use your rotate and get your patterns laid out in your box precisely the way you want them. Fill in your space and get that quilting to look exactly the way you want it. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I appreciate you taking the time to watch, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.